They have propagandized and gaslit against this for our entire lives. We have to pay to be alive. What a horrible realization and concept.
They have to make the population more, zombified and numb, because otherwise people will revolt.
The control apparatus stems from the fiat system. And more specifically, what I mean when I say that are the central banks. They have the monetary system on lock. They have the surveillance system on lock. There's no way to get away with this at mass scale. There's no right, left. There's no division of religion. There's no division of nationality. That's why these entities are called globalist entities, because they don't ascribe to any of that. The Illuminati pyramid that's on the back of your dollar, money's messed up, and then every layer down is messed up too. Because we're gonna run up to the point where hyperinflation does kick in. Then they will be forced to raise rates, I would argue by Q4 of next year. And then let's just call it the bail-in era. That's going to be 2027 to 2030 and the era of great taking. Our pineal gland gets calcified by toxicity. That right there limits you as a being, period. Selenium, strontium, massive quantities of aluminum, surfactants, graphene, you name it. You can't have health, wealth, and sovereignty if you're being poisoned unbeknownst to you, and then without your permission. In one generation, you eliminate poverty. In literally one generation, there is no poverty.
Hello and welcome to another episode of You're the Voice. Today with my very good friend, Chris Sullivan. Hey, Chris.
Hi, thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you for coming all the way from Orlando. It's been a long trip. But hey, I came from the other side of the world, so we're even.
I think you have a semi-residency here in Florida now. We like it.
Yeah? Will you grace me an honorary residence?
Deem you resident. Here is your homestead. And here's your gun.
Well, I kind of like it here. So
it is awesome. We're very lucky to be here in Florida.
Yeah, it's a really cool place with cool vibes, cool people. Chris has been on my podcast already. If you are one of my great followers, you know that episode 68, which was about, a year ago or so?
Year and a month, probably, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
We recorded our first episode together, which went on for more than 2 hours. I think it was my longest at the time. And it was completely unexpected. I mean, I knew I'm going to have fun. I knew it's going to be a good, deep conversation, but it was very deep and it was great. And so if you want to catch up with the beginning, go to episode 68, watch it, and then come back here. So for those of you who don't know Chris and you're too lazy to go to episode 68, let me give you a little bit of a rundown. So Chris is a portfolio manager and the co-founder of Hyperion Decimus, which is a hedge fund, one of the first liquid quantitative asset managers in digital assets. With a background in finance and a deep understanding of investor psychology, Chris is walking the path of awakening and higher consciousness. Yes, you heard it right. Those things go together. And he sees Bitcoin as a tool for financial and personal freedom. On top of that, he's a former musician and he's still a surfer, but yeah. You used to be a professional surfer, right?
I used to do contests, yeah.
What else don't I know about you? I know a musician now.
I used to be way better looking. I think my wife would agree with that too. We've been together 20 years.
I think you're still pretty good looking. Yeah, I mean, relax. Not hinting anything, just saying you look great. You're a great person. I'm so glad
I got you.
Yeah, we met a year ago, and since then we've been in touch several times, and we met several times in person, and every time we meet, I just feel like the bond is getting stronger because we speak the same language. Mm-hmm. Like, I do not speak the financial language you speak, and I will never, because that sounds like Chinese to me when you talk, especially when you talk fast about all your financial jargon. But there is a different dimension that we both speak in the same language. Mm-hmm. Up there, you know what I mean? It's like, not up as in we're superior from anyone else, but just like I feel like there's a connection that is so beyond words or, earthy stuff. that we have.
Right.
I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the good that has come in the last decade or so of my experience in Bitcoin has been linking with old souls with great intentions with the purpose of creating awareness and really disruption of the fiat system, teaching people about why their time preferences maybe should be altered, and helping people be better versions of themselves and more aware of kind of the Goliath we're dealing with.
Yeah, and we keep bumping onto those people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know about you, I'm very grateful to find them in Bitcoin, because then it's not such hard work. Like they're exposed to many things, including Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's as if when you sit with someone like that and you start a conversation, you don't need to go to, that's why I didn't know you're a musician, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because we don't start from zero. We start from like 90 and then we go up. And everything else is just like, the icing on top. It's nice, but there's a very significant relationship that one can build with people that understand that we're here not just to get by, to survive, to make money, to like all these things that we do because we need to do them because we're playing this game called third dimensional life, but we're here for so much more. We're here for, essentially, I believe, discovering our purpose and understanding what unique gift we have and how we can best pursue it during this short lifetime, and how can we build a generational legacy that will flourish out of receiving that gift from us. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even change the course of things, like changing timelines due to our awareness and our power and agency that we take in life, right?
Absolutely.
So is it just me talking for now? Okay,
No,
let's... No, you say what you want, and then we'll start with the questions. Then you'll talk, dude.
You're summarizing like a combination of sort of the esoteric and spiritual side of this, but also the sort of expounding awareness that, wait a minute, we have to pay to be alive. What a horrible realization and concept. Like
we have to pay to be alive. Yeah.
All of life is magical in its importance and its construction, and the physical, metaphysical, quantum rules around the literal particle structure to the functioning systems. We are electrical beings. We have the divine spark, as does all of life. And I think, without jumping down all the rabbit holes, all of the fiat world is designed to keep us from that. At a bare minimum.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And also the observation that we need to pay to live, to survive. You're right.
Right. Like, if you assume the timelines from history were remotely close and call it 12,000 of recorded human history, which I'm just going to say they're not, because history's been rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. And all books prior to 1920 are way more accurate than those after 1920. Just if somebody wants to research that. So if we assume that, the duration with which we had to pay to be alive only coincides with the 150, 200 years of the central banking era. So that is, I wanted to draw those two commonalities to go, you have to be paying to be alive because of this fiat succubus. And when you remove that, those conditions change.
Okay, we'll go back there soon.
Okay.
But I want to say two things before I dive to my first topic with you. One is the t-shirt you're wearing. I've been wearing it many times because I received a gift from you. And many people have been asking me about this t-shirt. So Chris is my source. He's the guy that makes the t-shirts. And we're thinking about it, but we may decide to open it up so that you guys can purchase it. But stay tuned for that. We'll see. But it's a cool t-shirt, right? I wear it to like a lot of places where people are like, they're commenting on it.
Well, I'm glad. I think we do have a little bit of artistic ability, and then really our CEO Matt, he he had the idea to, hey, we can't find any gear for us to wear. Let's just do it. And here we are a lot of years later, where our only sort of campaigning around it was, let's just give them to kind of friends and family.
Yeah.
And slowly, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, it
became a thing.
Yeah. More and more folks are wearing and enjoying them. And I would love to get this at enterprise level, because I think it started as kind of an inside joke. It can still be as it rolls out. And it would be a really good, camaraderie building, community building type of thing that I'm just happy that people like it. Like, I love that you like it. I like that it's getting recognized. And initially we were wearing them to like tick people off. What's Bitcoin? Oh, you guys are money launderers. You're drug dealers. And every time I would
And you guys, just so people understand, you're like corporate finance guys. You're like supposed to be, you're supposed to be like proper.
And I would always answer,
and you're punks.
Yes, yeah. We are cypherpunks. We love punk rock. Yeah. I mean, Bad Religion, Offspring, Fugazi. I'm a big fan of punk rock, but it was just a way to have fun ourselves internally, share that with close friends and family initially. Yeah. And now we've been able to get production up, because it's hard to get great textiles.
That's right.
And when that becomes available, we basically print the amount we can afford, and then we give them away over the next few months and then redo it again. So it's been super fun, and I'm stoked that you like it.
I love it.
And I'd love to do an enterprise around this.
All right. We may. And the second thing is, I want to say thanks to Rumble for hosting us in their beautiful studio. And this is, it says here, the Rumble wallet. So just so you guys know, today I downloaded the Rumble wallet for the first time. I connected it to my Rumble account. So if you are watching me on Rumble, please be generous and tip me through the wallet. Now you can tip me in Bitcoin. Isn't it amazing?
That's awesome.
Right?
Congratulations.
It's the first time that a video platform actually accepts Bitcoin for tipping. Like, this is incredible. And you know what YouTube did just to counter this?
Can you?
They started with PayPal stablecoin. So, good luck with the competition. Okay, let's talk. The first thing I want to talk to you about is geoengineering, weather modification. This is a topic that both of us are curious and passionate about. You have been doing this for many years, much longer than I have. And I'd love to hear from you, first of all, for those of you that don't know much about the topic, go read a book or watch some, Dane Winnington content, because you got to get up to speed with what's happening. So there was a really good interview recently of Dane on Tucker Carlson, and Nicole Shanahan did a great one with Peter Kirby, and Daniel Prince did a great interview with Peter Kirby, who wrote the book, The New Manhattan Project, which I recommend you get. I haven't read it yet, but I got it. Because this topic is one of the most important topics that we are dealing with, while most of our attention is on pharma, food, and money, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about this one that I think people need to be more aware of.
Ever find yourself needing cash but refusing to sell your Bitcoin? That's real life for many Bitcoiners, because most Bitcoin sales aren't financial decisions, they're liquidity decisions. And that's exactly what Ledn solves. Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed lending. They've issued over $10 billion in loans since 2018 with a perfect track record for protecting client assets. Here's what makes Ledn different. With their custodied loans, your Bitcoin collateral is not lent out to generate interest. No credit checks, no monthly payments, and no penalties for early repayments. You apply in minutes and you repay whenever you want. Ledn also publishes proof of reserves reports every 6 months with full transparency. So if your capital is in Bitcoin, but your expenses are not, you still have options. Ledn lets you unlock liquidity without selling your Bitcoin. Learn more at ledn.io/Efrat. That's ledn.io/Efrat. You're the Voice is brought to you by Trezor, the original Bitcoin hardware wallet company pioneering the development of self-custody for crypto assets since 2013, empowering individuals with an open source device, enabling beginners and experts to easily and securely hold their coins. I find my Trezor super easy to use and recommend it to my friends and family. Enjoy my 5% discount on Trezor products by clicking the link in the show notes and using the code FLAT.
Unfortunately, this supersedes those
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. Tangentially, you can't have health, wealth, and sovereignty if you're being poisoned unbeknownst to you and then without your permission.
Mm-hmm.
At least with respect to pharma, you have to have some sort of compliance or agreement. And then in food,
Informed.
right, informed consent, well, they don't. You have to participate to the degree you're allowed. In farming, because we have a food forest at my property in Florida, and we test soils, been part of groups testing. I just tested the water recently at my house. I've got wells. And when you're striving for detoxing yourself and you're striving for organic food, you want the purest form cellularly of whatever you're going to consume, of chicken, steak, carrot, whatever. And if you're not aware of what is causing the most massive disruption to that, then you're really going to miss the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do you find when you do the tests?
Selenium, strontium, massive quantities of aluminum, surfactants, graphene, you name it. I mean, sometimes there was a
Barium.
Yeah, barium. Yeah, it's a concoction of aerosolized metals. Well, that doesn't exist naturally, obviously. And if people want to look to genesis sources of this stuff, they need to look into the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
This is where patents began to be developed. Initially, I think in the less black pill version, it was for weaponry. Right? Let's design something that can cause drought. Let's design something that can cause rain. Fast forward to the Vietnam War, they readily admitted we were causing rain all over all of the jungles as part of a military strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of years later, you had treaties signed by otherwise would-be enemies, banning the use of it as a weapon against countries, yet those same countries can do it to their own populations. So it's absolutely insane. And then what really got me into this is just gradually being a surfer, being outside, playing sports, all of a sudden, right around college time, high school into college, you start going, what the heck are these stripes?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's contrails. Okay, well, it's a contrail. You go look that up. Well, I don't know if ice particles can stretch for 200 miles at 300,000 feet. You can debunk that via null hypothesis, scientific method, very easily. And it was also coinciding with the same narrative and investigations on the dangers of vaccines causing ADHD, autism, and all this other stuff. And obviously, if you look on the charts of the quantity of vaccines the population of the United States got, then all of a sudden in the 90s it went. So you can derive an R squared by just looking at the data. I think whatever that most recent one was, like a 96, 98 R squared to autism. So all of those premonitions and suspicions were now proven true.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in my opinion, the most destructive component of the fiat system.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't operate. And why I mentioned that is that it could not operate without printed money. The black budget that, depending on, they lose $2 trillion here, $3 trillion there. Oh, we don't even know how many trillion. They just did a $900 billion military bill, and then wait, a bunch of it's foreign aid. None of it makes any sense. But my point with bringing it towards the fiat system is if you had money of consequence, there's no way you would have enough to do this shit globally.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my language.
Because it's a massive
New York, you see
operation.
It in UK, France. It doesn't even matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Japan, Australia.
It's everywhere.
It's the whole planet.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, wait a minute. How many planes does it take to spray the whole planet every day? Okay, well, that's tens of thousands. How much aluminum do you have to aerosolize to spray the whole? Well, that's hundreds of thousands of tons, or perhaps millions of tons. And you just keep walking down that logic tree, and you get to where, why are they doing this? How long have they been doing this to us? What are the second and third order effects to the environment that they're allegedly trying to protect with their ESGs and their war on carbon and climate change when they're the ones actually changing the climate? And what you arrive at when you actually get down all that deductive reasoning and get to hundreds and hundreds of patents all over the world. You can go to the U.S. Patent Office, which is the most easy and most transparent to search, and you can see one stratum of patents for specifically changing weather conditions. Cloud seeding is a very du jour term now.
Basic.
Right, and then you use silver iodide, and that.
But that's really entry level stuff.
Right, I'm starting. That's
Yeah.
And then you get to the other thing, which is we're spraying nanorobots over you that we're going to manipulate your 5 and 6G.
That's also patented.
Correct. So here's your starter kit, and here's your holy crap end state. And recently, Dr. Jane Ruby gave Mike Adams a sample for his great lab in Texas to analyze, and he's showing you through the microscope this stuff's moving in all kinds of crazy formations and is quite terrifying when you realize that they're spraying this. And then there's been instances of this quote unquote nano fog, right? And there's been a 400
fog that is kind of
on that
weird and staying
smelly and has like a burns and you cough
people were
every-
tweeting that, right? Yeah, okay.
And it's now come back. There was a 400-mile pocket of it over California. I mean, it's just stuff that's so unnatural. Now it's becoming more and more obvious.
Yeah.
And I think it's 32 or 34 states so far have quote unquote banned geoengineering. But the problem is that states.
Really? So many?
Yeah.
32 have already done that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is enforcement, right?
So
at RFK said this on television, it's DARPA level, probably even maybe above that. And
why are they even bothering to ban it if they know that there's nothing they can do about it?
Well, if they weren't at least doing that, I think
it's raising awareness.
It's heroic that they've even done that.
Okay.
Some of the politicians weren't aware that they could only enforce over 200 or 2,000 or 5,000 feet above their state or their city. They weren't really aware till they went through this process. And then it really was courageous for them to do it, right? The agencies that say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, who made up that word, they have propagandized and gaslit against this for our entire lives, right? And I think to achieve those bills passing where they were bipartisan and people don't want to be poisoned. So I think even though we're not getting cleaner air, cleaner water, cleaner food as a direct result of our representative doing what we asked them to do, I think at a minimum, it's better than nothing, and it's bringing forward the dialogue. And now perhaps a larger fight about decentralization is going to occur. And this is where these go tandem with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's like it's the tip of the sword with a lot of awareness and truth for many, many of these issues. Because once you go up the pyramid, you get to that same fiat cabal, right? And without that, none of these exist. Would pharma be able to shoot you up with poisons if they had liability, had to defend in court, had to pay for study? No. Okay.
Of course.
Would GMO farming exist if, wait, the food I eat is killing me? Well, obviously not, if it had capital of consequence. So each one of these things that people are more conscious of, I want longevity, I want quality of life, circadian rhythm. People are becoming more and more aware of this. It all stems, the control apparatus stems from the fiat system. And more specifically, what I mean when I say that are the central banks. There's almost nowhere in the world where there's not this esoteric monolith that is all around the world.
Okay, so let's stay on the geoengineering. No, this is great.
It really frustrates me as a human being.
And you're doing something about it. So you're involved, you're trying to bring it to the awareness of the relevant people. There are communities forming, right, around the States, but also around the world to make people more aware. I think people are talking about it more. I'm part of one group chat on Twitter where we try to raise awareness. And we have felt the difference in the past year of how much more awareness there is, and that people actually post more and talk about it more. Yeah, the bots continue to, ridicule, but it's becoming like you feel the dynamics of power changing. It's like the ratio is changing.
Oh, little robot, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
Because you almost feel pity for them now.
Yeah. But it still happens. But we don't care. We'll continue doing that. But what else can we do health-wise to protect them ourselves?
This is at the magnitude where you've got electrical engineers, physicists actually creating technologies to try and shield the body from the fallout of this. I've shown you the one that I'm running on my biofield right now.
That's ARC.
Oh, well, this helps with resonance.
Okay, yes.
The frequencies that you put around your biofield, your aura, those help it helps against vaccine shedding. It helps against EMF, ELF. So it's similar technological filters. Like think of it like what you want to do is create a Faraday cage for your body, essentially, for both 5G, ELF, EMF, as well as the fallout from the sky. What I do is I take a lot of supplements that bind metals, and I try and drink an absolute ton of water every day to flush, and then mix in, which a lot of people are doing now, sauna, steam shower, ice bath. I only really get it
the body.
Just to detox the body. And then because I've been studying it for so long and been fighting it, for a while too, I know when I have the symptoms. My throat gets scratchy and my eyes get like a burn.
Yeah.
And it's not like a cold or a flu, which we've all had. It's not like food poisoning, which I eat all kinds of sushi and stuff, so I get food poisoning. And then I immediately react. And this is happening. My partners and employees are doing this now, sweating it all out. And then you try to eat, higher alkaline foods so that detoxes your body. You don't want to eat heavy, complex carbs, certainly not too much. You want animal fat, not processed fat, because then the metals have nothing to bind to, or they have less to bind to.
That's a good insight. And air purifiers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up. I forget the brands off. One is like a tube, and it's more like the electrical matrix that neutralizes it all. And then that's what we have in the office and at the house. And then I have a huge one that basically at the house it sucks in all the air. And then you remove the filter and you can see it all. It's insane. It's probably bi-weekly. When they ramp it up, I need to change the filter the same week.
Jesus.
It's insane. And I have a reverse osmosis water system at my house that gets it out. And then that was going from once a quarter to being changed the last few years. They've ramped it up so much, it's once a month. And the crap that's on these filters will just blow your mind.
Remind me the name of the quantum service for the frequencies?
QuantumUpgrade.io.
Quantum Upgrade,
and
okay.
then Tramis.
Okay.
And then it's the best efforts, right?
I just want people to have all the options so they can go check it.
And it's really children, because when we were kids, they did it, but I think, this is my personal subjective view, it was primarily used for agriculture or for steering hurricanes. It wasn't this daily, we're poisoning you, we're going to run crowd control or mind control frequencies on top of you from our 5Gs, because they didn't have 5G back then, right? It's RF. So I think our systems have been less saturated with this than young children who have had it the last 5-6 years ad nauseum. And you really, really need to protect them, because they're not complicit. They don't know what's going on, and neither does Mother Nature. And we owe it to everyone to stand up for this. This, I think, is a bigger issue than the vaccine thing.
I agree with you. So let's talk about the mind control, that they may run some operations through geoengineering or through weather modification. What kind of mind control techniques would they use?
I mean, I'm not a specialist. I'm a hedge fund guy, but what I can say is,
I bring you here to talk about that stuff.
I'm just a passionate defender of freedom and liberty and sovereignty. Right? And I don't like when evil people do evil things. So if they're doing that, I'm going to have excess energy to analyze and then
research
attack.
that. Yeah.
So I think the maybe worst element is, our pineal gland gets calcified by toxicity. That right there limits you as a being, period. And if
your mental abilities, your intellectual abilities, your memory, your imagination, etc., etc.
It's your third eye.
And obviously your consciousness.
And it affects all of your chakras, the power of all of them, your frequency, your aura, your awareness, your consciousness. By diminishing that, you're literally limiting everything in your body and your soul. So that's what's actually occurring at the macro level. At the micro level, I have researched HAARP, NEXRAD, Doppler enough to be somewhat competent. That's as much as I'd recommend. I do think the best spots are a few of Dane's documentaries, because he's probably the world's
he's definitely the expert. And Daniel, Peter Kirby. Sorry, I keep saying Daniel. Peter Kirby for sure.
But as far with respect to answering the question on mind control, it looks like to me they tee it up in their fake news, mainstream media, whatever you want to call that, gaslight propaganda operation. And then it's like they're able to use these frequencies to like ping pong it in your consciousness so that everybody's got this NPC repetitious, and it's like they're ready with answers.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a racist. You're an anti-Semite. Oh, you're an idiot. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're this, you're that. They're like ready for name calling. That it's like, wait, how did you already have that downloaded on the fly to respond to my subjective reaction to what's going? You know, it's to me, that's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
And people have no depth of logic and reason or capacity to use logic and reason.
So I really think that they're one of the goals, you know, the explicit goal that they put out there is that they want to cool Earth because of climate change and global warming, which is bullshit. They're blocking the sun. I think they understand very well that the sun is our source of energy and the development of our consciousness and our DNA in order to become more spiritual entities and connect to our higher self and our higher guidance, etc. And they seem to use this, in my opinion, as a way to keep us docile and numb and zombified and, just like you said, you know, operate like robots sometimes. And obviously, I mean, this is what I would have done if I were them. Like, the more chaos we see in the world related to the breakdown of the fiat system and the never-ending debt that is just compiling, they have to make the population more, you know, zombified and numb, because otherwise people will revolt. And they will revolt anyway, it will happen, but they just have to try and keep us as pacified as possible. Yeah, and that's a great way of doing that. And you also keep us sick, so we're busy with making ourselves better rather than with what's actually happening around the world.
Do you realize now the quote Henry Ford said about the central banks is now 100 years old?
Yeah.
100 years ago.
If people knew how money works, there'd be a revolution tomorrow morning. Yeah. And there was another quote about the weather as well. What was
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't want to misspeak. But the circadian rhythm interference is huge. The fact that people are not taught the morning sun's the most important thing on Earth ever.
Yeah.
Grounding is maybe second most important thing on Earth. Drinking live and alive water would be third. And if you don't know what I mean by all three of those, you're late to improving yourself. I forgive you, but please get.
They're going to listen to my episode with Dr. Alexis Cohen. We talked about all these things there.
And, you know, get your water in your copper vats. And anyways, where I was going with that is we're not taught that photons and neutrinos pass through our body, right? And think of it like you're just getting all of your electrical capacity given to you by the sun, given to you by source, and you're then robbed from that. And then they're so dark, or this whole thing is so dark, that while they filter those photons from you by blocking the sun with solar radiation management, the concoction of chemicals is destroying the ozone layer, then allowing UVC to come through, which is absolutely extraordinarily destructive. So instead of, I get up and I stare at the sun. You can stare at the sun for a few minutes. You get it in your eyes. I'm a surfer, so I've been doing that my whole life. And you just get dialed in. And it's like a amazing ritual. You've been doing it while you've been here.
Doing it, yeah.
It's amazing. And all of us surfers in the east coast of Florida are like, they're spraying. And then they're doing it at sunset too, and they go on the west side. Florida's a very good geography to witness it because this is in the morning and this is in the evening.
Yes.
And there's waves on both coasts. And because you're constantly facing the sun, if you're surfing on the east or west coast of Florida, you're then you see the stripes.
Yeah.
So it's just like a trifecta of destruction, robbing you of your inherent divinity and literal soul nutrition is what I call the photons and electrical capacity. They're robbing you that while poisoning you and then making you dumber, more docile. It's so gnarly, for lack of a better word, that the Fed printing money matters not compared to that. Sure, it wouldn't exist if they can't print money, but we got to stop one of these first because we're not going to have much time.
I want to introduce you to Abundant Minds because they take a very different approach to Bitcoin mining. Most people buy Bitcoin, but the smart ones mine it straight into self-custody. With Abundant Minds, you can do it without giving up your privacy. Abundant Minds was founded by Bo and Christine Marie Turner, a couple who lost more than $500,000 to providers making empty promises. Instead of walking away, they built a company that raises the industry standard and puts client first, and that's why I like them. With Abundant Minds, you own your machines. They never touch your Bitcoin, never skim a revenue share, and you choose your own mining pool. Their customer care is unusual. Clients speak to a real person for self-custody education, privacy consulting, and even visiting their site. They serve clients from around the world, but US investors specifically enjoy a big tax benefit and 100% bonus depreciation. This is more than just mining Bitcoin. It's about freedom, privacy, and purpose. You can book a free strategy call, see how it works, and mine some of your first Bitcoin for free with a special offer for my audience. Learn more on abundantminds.com/Efrat. In a world hypnotized and sleepwalking towards totalitarian control and digital enforcement, awakened voices rise to inspire change and radiate hope. In December 2024, I had the honor of hosting Professor Matthias Desmet at a conference I produced called New Totalitarian Order. This masterclass is now recorded and available to watch. The conference explores the psychology behind global mass processes, offering a behind-the-scenes look at science, economics, and human potential. It addresses challenging global agendas, mass formation, transhumanism, consciousness, societal change, and the path to transformation. Click the link in the show notes to access 3.5 hours of exclusive presentations, in-depth content, and my fireside chat with Professor Desmet. Use my code EFRAT for 10% off. I hope you find great value in it.
Damn. Did you hear about this new DARPA program called GO?
Yes.
Fucking hell. Generative optogenetics.
Yeah.
The other day I read about it and I'm like, not that we're surprised because we know that they know. We know that they've been working on it for decades. But now that it actually is coming out, like everything is coming out right now. It's insane. So just for those of you who didn't see that, GO is a DARPA project stands for Generative Optogenetics. If GO succeeds, it unlocks programmable biology at a scale. This is about creating molecular machines that can be expressed in living cells to translate optical signals directly into DNA and RNA sequences on demand. Think about what this means. You shine specific wavelength of light at a cell and it writes its own genetic code in real time without any external DNA delivery, no viral vectors, no CRISPR cassettes, just light triggering nucleotide incorporation based on photon wavelength. This is a foundational shift in how we interface with biology because right now, if you want to deliver genetic instructions to cells. You need massive supply chains, synthesis facilities, cold storage delivery mechanisms that break down over distance. DARPA Go wants to turn living cells into programmable biological systems where you can transmit genetic information massively via optical signals, and the cell synthesizes the exact sequence you need using its own machinery. The implications are wild.
I'm laughing because it's so terrifying. It reminds me of the Ghostbusters quote, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. And it's that they're playing God.
They're playing God.
And then there's a woman, Sabrina Wallace.
Yes, I know Sabrina Wallace. Yeah. This is remote.
Wide body area network.
Yes.
And so they have achieved because why do they call a phone a cell phone? Because it's running through your mitochondria. Like Wi-Fi is using our mitochondria.
Right.
And cellular data.
Yeah.
This is like life is, it kind of makes.
I mean, if we would talk about this a few months back, people obviously call us name very quickly. This is a DARPA project that is now public. There's a YouTube clip of this technology.
Meaning they've been working on it for 30 or 40
Oh,
years.
yeah. Oh, for sure. So, you can call us whatever name you want.
It might be off-world or older technology. I mean,
right.
I think this...
I think it does. Speaking of which, we talked about this in our first episode together, that ancient beings or entities have always messed up with human biology and DNA in order to genetically modify the way we are so that we can be that slave species to others. The Fiat is a good manifestation of it, but, maybe it's the goal that they were after. And we're well positioned for it. But, if you guys are familiar with ancient species like the Anunnakis, for example, then the whole genetic modification was their number one skill.
You can even see it in the alleged historical record of, Neanderthal, etc. That whole line. Because it looks like we have one part that was maybe evolutionary and adaptive, and then another part was just poof. Like, obviously we didn't come from primates. That's so obvious. So, and then you've got so much DNA evidence that says that it was the telomere caps, etc. So, is DARPA them? I don't know. I think, without the Fiat system allowing this degree of evil and corruption to permeate, there wouldn't be Secret Service, CIA, MI6, Mossad, DARPA, CCP. There wouldn't be these really dark entities that have infinity money to do whatever they want to do. Seems to only harm humanity. But you can't, I say that, and that's like the human lane, but there is the off-world or interdimensional,
I'm open to
multidimensional lane as well. And I'm Confucius. He who knows, he knows nothing. And there's certain truths that can resonate, and then there is evidentiary fact. And that's how I base my little bit of understanding of how the universe works and what source has set for us.
Okay, so if you really want to go deeper on the whole biology stuff, Dr. Jack Cruz, Dr. Alexis Jasmine Cohen, she is a guest on my podcast. You will see the episode soon. Definitely recommend.
You should have Sabrina on.
Oof.
She's awesome.
Hardcore, but yeah, maybe.
I mean, we only have hardcore left.
Right.
That's the only kind of core that's going to make any sort of difference.
Dude. Yeah, I guess. It's just sometimes when I listen to her, she's so black-pilling, but also like it almost feels like, what the hell can I do? I can do so little. I mean, the stuff we talked about before, yeah. But it's really hard. Yeah, I guess maybe.
But they want to engineer it that way.
Yeah, right.
They want you to be...
Yeah, I mean, so I turn to God at those...
Right.
At those times.
Pray and meditate.
Yeah.
Because you're humbled.
Yeah.
Right? But one very real way we can offset some of this darkness and destruction is very simple. Be very kind and generous.
Right. Open heart. Clean
Bring
heart.
love.
Yeah.
Bring positivity.
Right.
Raise your consciousness. And that this will sound ridiculous to those who don't know what I'm talking about, but you're creating effectively a force field that is
Absolutely.
expanding. And as that force field's expanding, each person collides with it and you help them expand. And we grab each other and through higher consciousness have better awareness, more precise understanding of things, and then can focus our efforts on disrupting and decentralizing all of this.
Bingo. Decentralization is going to be the main goal of us hardcore survivors in the next few years, because the world has become so centralized with power sources, with like centers of power, that we have to dismantle those centers of power.
And you start with all and the good word that surmises that is globalist, right? All of these globalist institutions, WHO, WEF, UN, NATO, blah, 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 and just disrupting them in the central banks, we don't even really have to go beyond that, because the natural order of things will end up correcting. And then if pure capitalism is allowed to flourish and velocity of money picks up from the bottom up, none of that stuff is going to permeate or exist for much longer.
Can you imagine with me, for me, what the world would look like on a sound money standard with real capitalism?
I can tell you what it looked like.
With real capitalism.
There are periods in history where you had sound money before it got corrupted, and it would look like, imagine being in Rome when these giant aqueducts are being built and these huge expanses of road from the UK down to India are being built, and these giant ships are being made to traverse the oceans and trade routes. And all of a sudden you're seeing spices you never heard of, textiles animals you've never seen. Imagine what that was like. And yeah, they did conquest through violence, but they had metal money, real money. And then they didn't. And that took a couple thousand years before it got corrupted. And then you had another period that we reference, we call it the Renaissance, right? And all of this beautiful architecture was built in Europe during that period. That beauty is a reflection of sound money. In America, the period was brief, but you can look at it like a robber baron period, basically right after the War of 1812, and then after Jackson permanently kicks off, or until 1913, the bank. That period from, I believe it was 1847 to 1907 was huge GDP growth, huge wealth distribution. Everybody did well. And those periods are where you have sound money. And I'm sure there are more localized versions, whether in Australasia and Indonesia, et cetera. But those are really relatable ones that people should know of, where you have vast expanse of wealth, bottom up, great innovation, great creativity, and you have a nonviolent population. Nonviolence means not that they're weak or that they're not warriors or that they're not
There's
courageous.
no incentive for it.
There's no incentive for it. All wars are bankers' wars, unless we're on the plains in Missouri fighting over bison. That's fine. If it's literal survival and resource, that I don't equate as war. That's a battle over survival, which is different to me than a war.
So what are the drivers for wars today? There are a few.
Speaking of blackpilling, again, I will focus on, let's say, 17th century to now. I did study the Peloponnesian War massively, so we can speak on that. But those are more about ego and greed, which are part of the central banking war infrastructure. But I look at theirs as a lot more sinister. I'll back into it this way. Why do you have an estate tax when you die?
Why?
Think about it.
Yep.
You build
Usually, I don't know. Why?
so you can't create generational wealth.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Why do they
so
not
there's
want you to
another
create
reason. Okay.
generational wealth? Because over time, anybody who's got wealth is not going to be okay with being impoverished, right? So there'll be more resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's
Okay, so lowering resistance. Okay.
The concept of that is absolutely insane. I cannot believe so much of the West is complicit with estate tax. Here,
Yeah.
I already paid tax, and I invested. Then I say, and then you're going to take it from my heirs before they receive it for another 50%. You know,
It's ridiculous.
it is a blasphemy at best. No human being should suffer through that.
Yeah.
But you have to understand why. And the why is we're going to carve that away from you to use for our purposes, number one. And two, we're going to leave everybody destitute because that's what they want. And we don't want anybody resisting. And that leads into who do they employ to go to war?
The young,
Why?
because they're less resistant. Again, they don't know.
They can be convinced through propaganda and impassioned speeches and their own innate loyalty and patriotism or nationalism to wherever
easier to brainwash them.
But
and they're also healthier.
Sure, they can do most of the fighting, but that's who they want to eliminate, because especially on the male side, the 18 to 30-year-old males are the dangerous ones. They're the ones that have effectively nothing to lose. Like right now, I would die for my family. I would die for our forefathers in America, because, you know, men like John Paul Jones and George Washington are not going to exist again. Or I hope they do. But what they achieved for all of us is why we're even speaking, right? Freedom of speech was America, and it's unique.
Well, you may be the next one.
But now I have family, daughter, son. Like, I'm not going to be on the front lines.
Yeah.
But they want to eliminate that population because those are their resistance. And also, this is very, very like obvious analysis on my part. They are the inheritors to what their parents create.
Yeah.
So you're taking at the end state if they make it that far, and then you're destroying at the beginning state so that that end state can continue. And again, it's that cog in the wheel,
creating generations of dependency on state. Huh?
Right. Think of like people just accept, oh, World War I, World War II. What the fuck? What's a world war?
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that the Ottoman Empire allowed itself to be broken up into a zillion countries because of a treaty in Versailles after World War I? Like that, this is so insane that I can't believe people who are reading the Rockefeller Foundation history books, which don't tell anything about, not even 1% of the truth, that don't just read the surface. What? And then, wait a minute, they basically created the Weimar Republic and destroyed all of the German people at a treaty in France? How did that happen? And so, and then World War II, we have another one? How could this happen? You can't have everybody's enemies all over the world. That doesn't make any sense. So questioning should really be ultra robust on how these things manifest, how it's possible to create allies and enemies, and who were the players who funded both sides of them, and all of the proxy wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many soldiers from Europe or Israel or China or Japan or the United States have died since the end of World War II fighting for nothing?
For nothing. For nothing. I'm sorry.
Literally for bullshit old men. Not that there weren't women globalists who were bad, but mostly it's on men whose degree of psychopathy is unfathomable over a smidgen of patriotic nationalism and duty to country and community.
Yeah.
And that's just so sick how they sell you on sacrificing yourself for them.
Yes.
On the altar of fiat.
Exactly. And I'm not against one defending itself. I'm against sacrificing human lives for nothing.
Right. If you defend yourself, I think everyone should be dangerous, because you cannot be peaceful unless you are capable of violence. That is key. I'm peace and love, peace and love. Well, you better be dangerous. Because if you're harmless, you cannot be peaceful. Period. And I know I'm getting fired up, but
it's like deterrent factor.
And you're a mother.
I would fight for my son.
You'd walk into fire.
I would do everything, anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And okay, well, if we are...
The other day I had a horrible nightmare that someone wanted to hurt him. Like, in fact, even torture. And I managed to get them off him in my dream. And when I got up, I cried because it was so, I was so shaken up. But I managed to get them off him. And I would do this 100 times over. Yeah. Sorry.
Without hesitation or fear. Because they don't want you to have your mama bear power, your innate natural law given force that creating a life gives women uniquely to men, because men don't have that same force that women are blessed with. And all of what they set up around you is to pull that frequency down so that you have less instinctual ability to do so.
Right.
And the more we unpeel this, the sicker and darker it's going to sound.
Right.
And it's all correlated.
Yeah. War serves many purposes.
It also makes a ton of money.
It makes a ton of money, and it then creates the next opportunity for more new projects and the Build Back Better agenda.
Exactly. We're going to turn Ukraine into a new city. What were the size of those contracts that BlackRock and JP Morgan are? Yeah, it was insane. We're going to bomb it, then we're going to build it back up. Or what
Gaza, 86% rubble.
Funny phrase with the meme with Trump and Netanyahu? Gaza-lago.
Yeah, Gaza-lago, they call it.
Miami-looking buildings and everything. Like, guys, this is what they're doing to all of us. Yeah. There's no distinction here. We're all in this together. We're all under this malaise of central banking. And they're literally playing out the playbook over and over and over again right in front of us.
That's why when October 7th happened, and I happened to serve exactly where it has happened, I spoke out and said that this was bullshit, that this was allowed to have happened. And because I knew that it's bullshit, I straight away asked myself, why are they doing this? Oh, right. They need a new project. They need more money. They need more reasons to start building something new. So they need an excuse to go in and do this so that they can then bring the contractors and start building. And they probably want to do new deals in the Middle East. Lo and behold, 2 years later, here we are. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I was right. And it's the same playbook every time. And because most people are so attached to their national identity, to their upbringing, culture, religion, nationality, whatever it is in their identity, they can not accept the truth that they are being used. Just, you're being sacrificed, you're being sold out, because those people that do all these wars, they have zero care for human lives.
No, because they are enabled to have empathy and sympathy. That's what makes them psychopaths. And I would argue from a quantitative data analysis standpoint, I would be hard pressed to find any of these events, whether it's mass shootings, terrorist attacks, buildings, planes, whatever, that are not false flags, or at least secondary false flags.
Yeah.
It's literally because they have the monetary system on lock. They have the surveillance system on lock. There's no way to get away with this at mass scale nowadays, right? The last 25, 30 years. They've been watching everything at all times. So to convince me, I've not seen any data that supports that, oh yeah, these are naturally occurring. But I don't know how to break through to people to make them understand there's no right, left. There's no division of religion. There's no division of nationality. That's why these entities are called globalist entities, because they don't ascribe to any of that. And then the public gets divided and conquered by all your little heartstrings that, I'm a balding Irishman, I should get mad at this. Well, wait a minute, I'm in Florida.
I'm black, I'm white, I'm
American.
Jew, I'm Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. It's like,
and then they watch as everybody gets fired up because somebody that looks like me thinks like me. Wait, what? I mean, it's so archaic and pathetic that humans continue to fall for it.
Yes.
It's all an illusion.
And again and again.
And that's a Hegelian dialectic. What's David Icke's famous thing? Problem, reaction, solution. David Icke, I love that man. If he listens to you, love you, dude. Keep keeping on. He's an old guy.
His son listens to me from time to time.
And he can't even leave England, the poor guy.
I know.
Wait, I thought common law has freedom of speech. Nope. So I just want to inspire people to be a little stronger internally,
Yeah.
it's okay to not know, because most things we're not going to know.
Yeah.
But you have a duty to at least yourself, if not your family and friends, to understand and do a little bit of homework and research on a couple of macro prudential things going on right now.
I'm going to give you a few money related questions just
What is
because
money?
we have, first of all, I'll direct people to go and listen to your chat with Robert Breedlove on the What is Money show, because it was a really good chat. You've had many with him, but the last one was really good. So go listen to it, because we're not going to repeat everything that was said there. But here's one thing that I really like to explaining. Where does the term bank holiday come from?
It's like,
I love it.
it's an oxymoron, right?
Tell us.
So let's explain what is a bank holiday. I can't help. I've watched Uncle Jack do it so many times. He says the question, and then delivers. I'm doing a bad impression, but what is a bank holiday? A bank holiday is where the regulators from above decide that the banks are going to be closed. And then, well, why do they need to be closed? Typically, it's a long weekend is what they structure, and that happens when they're going to take over or bankrupt or steal. What's the most recent example of that, Chris? Oh, I'll tell you. And you know the one I'm going to.
Yeah.
So we have Signature Bank and Silvergate Bank. Two fine banks, very little treasury or credit exposure, that happen to service the digital asset and Bitcoin wallet industry, etc., and had a thing that the Tacit Pay guys created that it was blockchain all around the world that could send everywhere almost instantly. It was absolutely radical. It was called Signet at Signature, and we had accounts at both banks. Meanwhile, a shitty bank called Silicon Valley Bank, ironically in Globalist Valley is what I would call that, where all the technocratic freaks who have low T are, you guys all have low T, is going bankrupt because
T, testosterone?
Yeah. Because if you're low T, you're evil. High T people aren't going to be evil. It's just a natural way that hormone expresses itself, right? Because you're in your
I didn't know.
Your innate and inner instinct as a man, if you are high T, is to do what? Provide and protect, not destroy. So yeah, all of the evil emanates from low T.
Okay.
Beings, period.
So Silicon Valley Bank?
They actually have a bunch of shitty loans, are over leveraged. It gets kind of a mini bank run where enough liquidity was withdrawn. So they used that very real bankruptcy, which and then they bailed out anyways, to shut down Silvergate and Signature. And what did they do it over? A bank holiday weekend. So they used that weekend, and that doesn't mean it was a national holiday. That's not what bank holiday means. They used that weekend to put them down. And then what happened on our end is like we ended up getting cashier's checks in the mail for the balances that were in the accounts at the time. Oh, well, how easy is to cash a cashier's check that's 7 plus 8 figures? Like, it's insane. And so that's a recent example.
So what can you do with that?
Luckily, I'm a pretty good hedge person. So we had redundancies upon redundancies. So other banks that luckily were local banks with personal relationships would honor that. But imagine the minutia there. You've got to put up the capital to clear a check. So if we were not every fund or business in crypto was that fortunate, many people were jammed up in that and then had to open new bank accounts, and it was super disruptive, part of choke point 2.0. And this is something that's relatable. The one I was speaking about in that talk with Robert was during the 30s when they stole from rich people, which doesn't always happen, right? Normally they're just stealing via inflation.
They did it in Cyprus not long ago.
Oh yeah, they did.
With the bail-ins.
2012, right?
2012.
With the bail-in.
Bailing in. So the people that have money, they were chopped off a little
Or
bit.
think they have money.
Right.
Because our definition of money
Right.
is different than...
Right. Had deposits in the bank. Yeah.
Which is the bank's money, not yours.
Exactly.
And I let me go back to the 30s.
Yes.
So 1933, they make gold illegal. They start confiscating it, and they also have another one of those bank holidays where they shut down 9,000 banks for no reason. It was fully discretionary. Now, it's mind-numbing how they can even get away with that.
9,000 branches around the United States.
Yeah, that's just the estimate.
How many banks existed then? Do you
I
know?
don't know. So
Okay,
I don't want to
but it's a lot.
The estimate that event cucked that many banks, it's the best word for this. Because
And they closed them down
shut them
indefinitely?
down.
Okay.
Because each part of agenda, a lot of it is destroy competition, destroy resistance, and consolidate power and wealth, right? Those three vectors happen no matter if it's geoengineering, if it's war, if it's money and investments. Those are always part of the agenda. Look at COVID. Oh, we're shut down, except Costco, Amazon, Walmart,
IKEA, yeah.
Right. Oh, well, what's that? Destroy, disrupt, consolidate.
Right, exactly.
Who did they disrupt? They disrupt mom and pop business.
businesses.
Who do they destroy? Small business, which is the largest employer. And then you keep going. And then now we can lock everybody down because they have nothing to live for. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, oh my God. I keep getting more.
No.
fired up.
We're at the banks. Yeah, that's good.
So, by discretion, by decree, 9,000 banks. And it's not too dissimilar. That event, ironic, 23, 33. It's not too different from that decision. It was just at a much larger scale. And then in 08 and 09, they did the same kind of thing, right? We're not going to bail out Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, but then we're going to bail out the Fed member banks who own stock. We're going to let Countrywide go down. We're going to let, Wachovia, all these names of banks that we all grew up with, right? Boom. But just a chosen few get a bailout. How did we figure that out, Mr. Paulson? Guys, you just gotta do your homework, get off fucking TikTok, and read.
What's your prediction for more bank holidays coming up in the next 4 years, 5 years?
So by
the end of the 2030 agenda or around that time.
I think. Well, they just saved it again because this was occurring from July to when QE was announced. Repo and direct lending. Wells Fargo was a famous one. July 16th of this year, I think it was 125, 126 billion. It might have been at 134. And then they did another 16 or 18, a bank bailout via repo this week. I believe it was 2 days ago. So they are currently feeding the system liquidity to keep it going. I think at most, because we're going to run up to the point where hyperinflation does kick in, then they will be forced to raise rates, I would argue, by Q4 of next year. And then let's just call it the bail-in era. That's going to be 2027 to 2030 and the era of great taking. Now, it can all happen sooner because as of July 23, both the Europeans and the United States had the wholesale CBDC go live. They've not pushed out the retail CBDC yet.
That will be in another couple of years.
Euro says 2027. And that is your great taking. That is your bail-in, is a retail CBDC. That means everything's fake.
Yeah.
You think at least $1 has paper and some pretty ink and a forefather on it. This is empire credits.
Yeah, sure. That's real total surveillance and control.
It's not money. It's just a surveillance credit kind of thing. It's the authorization to get goods and services.
And what's your take on the stablecoins?
They're like a gateway drug to that. That's my view. I don't use stablecoins. We don't use them in the fund. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Sure, are they better than a bank and SWIFT? Yeah. Okay, fine. Should people in emerging markets and or markets under duress have access to them for payments, remittances? Sure. I'm not undermining the merits of the technology because obviously I'm a huge fan of the technology.
Yeah.
But it's also, I fear, conditioning people to accept government money in blockchain form. Now, forgive me, there's no such thing as government money. It's all taxpayer money. But the vector is something that they're making people familiar with and the nomenclature. And I feel that this is two-part. One, to gradually saturate where they would otherwise been deprived of some extra liquidity, because what's in the Genius Act, which these names are like the biggest clues ever, by the way, guys. All these things. Oh, big beautiful bill. What the fuck?
It's cringy, huh? It's such a cringe when
like you can just tell what these morons are going to do by what they show you in symbolism. So in the Genius Act, it forces U.S. regulated stablecoins to do what, my friend? Hold treasuries in a bank account. Who does that help? Oh, it helps the Feds, in terms of lowering interest rates. It helps Treasury in terms of liquidity for bonds. It helps banks by forcing a deposit that pays you a yield. Guys, this is engineered on purpose. When my favorite stable coin, at least conceptually, has always been DAI, right? Algorithmic. Now, that has risks, but a lot less risk than the setup I just told you that was. And realistically, you have to come to grips with the fact that in the digital realm, Bitcoin is your stable coin, and in the analog realm, gold, or really in money form, silver is your stable coin. And just accept that's what it is. Yeah, they allegedly go up in fiat value, but fiat just goes. Do you like the sound effect on that?
I love it.
Edit that? I'm kidding.
Okay, and you're making me think of something that we almost got to, but I think I forgot. So let's go back there, and it's related to money as well, but it's the financial markets around weather modification and climate.
Yeah.
Right? So, and let's talk about that. And then, because we got to samurai in the end, but so I want to get there again. So what's going on with creating and running financial markets and bets and trade on nature and carbon and all that shit?
So I can give a very personal historionics to this. At first, because I am a futures principal, I love commodities, and I took all those exams. There's like 4 or 5 exams, become a principal and a dealer and all that crap on futures, right? What are futures? Yes, they're financial futures, but they first started for commodities, right? And I'm like, yeah, oh, what a great thing. ABC's manufacturer can hedge with XYZ speculator, and it makes a market, and it can lower the price for everybody, and it creates liquidity, and da-da-da. Boy, did I buy that hook, line, and sinker. What do we have now? The ability at worst to manipulate price, at best to corner, right? So let's talk about orange juice. I grew up in Florida. The whole state, when I was a kid, the whole MFing state was orange groves.
Right.
Now it's all silly multifamily. Or a lot of it anyways. What was the orange juice futures were like some of the most traded ever, et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward now, OJ, I think it was last year, maybe Q1, hits a new high, low liquidity, and almost no production's coming out of Florida, which has like historically been California, Florida make all the oranges. My point with that example is that those futures contracts were not derived to benefit the farming producer, because now we have way less farms than we did when these contracts started being created in the 50s. They're all under conglomerate. And certainly we're not benefit to lower prices, because obviously we have ultra high prices and basically hyperinflation in commodity costs. So then fast forward to now, that was just setting up futures contracts are a ruse. That's the pitch there. Now we have something called a carbon credit. Wait a minute. Carbon where? The whole concept of
carbon dioxide.
And how are they
vilifying or weaponizing carbon dioxide?
Which is carbon dioxide is not a pollutant.
It's the gas
Why
of
do
life.
we need credit for it? It is the gas of. We actually need way more of it so that plants can grow and we can get more oxygen and nitrogen in the air. So they create effectively like a.
Why do they create credits of it to begin with?
There's many. It's not just one reason. Well, then we can have a market that we profit off of churning.
Yep.
So we make our fees and commissions. Then we can control the supply of them by issuing them through government entities that we control. And then we can only allow certain banks or desks to act as market makers on these for primary issuance. So it's literally like hands on every scam, hands on every lever possible. And yet the public does nothing. And then, so those were created, I think, about 8 years ago. And then a few years ago, now we have a water future. Wait, I thought the county residents of each county owned the water rights there. What? Not anymore. And you,
Who owns it now?
the owner of the future contract. So again, and you've done, all of your work has been to show and highlight the disruption of sovereignty and rights. You've done a phenomenal job at doing that. And this subject matter, the financialization of commodities and resources, is not to do us any good. It's only to do us harm. One is like hyper political and more of a ruse, like a carbon credit. And then another is a weapon, which is the water future. Because I view, if you're looking at states.
Because it's like confiscating natural resources.
Right.
Is it?
And everybody who is a citizen of a land has a pro rata right to the commodities and distribution of such on their land. Like in Venezuela, for example, why does communism always suck? Because the Bolshevism is like this collective where only the connected get all of the benefits, and we're going to black market trade all of this Venezuelan oil and profit and manage the logistics of the drug trade, right? What did they have pre-Chavez? The fifth richest country in the world. Why? Mining, minerals, agriculture, energy. Well, if you have those, nobody can be poor. And it's taking the rights to those and the distribution of wealth that those provide that puts everybody in poverty. Every example, whether it's Latvia, Russia, Thailand's going through some of it right now, North Korea, we know all of the examples. And then Latin America has had constant periods of communism, not communism, communism, not communism, largely to do with the influence of European and your globalist institutions manipulating the ability for people to have their own destiny down there. And I'm obviously pretty exposed because my wife is from Colombia. And then here in Florida, we've got a lot of Latinos where they have these very real firsthand experiences that they relate from Cuba or Venezuela or Colombia or Chile or Bolivia. And they've had maybe one generation of good, 5 generations of bad.
Jesus. Right. So in summary, the carbon credit thing is a whole scam.
It's a ruse.
ESG is too. We just have to say a word about that.
I think you have to be retarded. Like environmental and social governance. Well, I'm pretty sure Mother Nature wants shit to do with social governance, right? and I am
it's all about diversity and inclusion. The social stuff, it is about that.
Right, which is destroying.
I helped bring it to one of the companies that I had worked for before I woke up and understood that it was the biggest scam. But I researched it because I needed to know what I'm doing. And I'm like, how are we supposed to measure carbon emissions for the work we do? It was a real estate company. And why do the investors care so much about diversity and inclusion and social justice and all that stuff? I mean, yeah, obviously we want to do good things, but why do they care about it to the level that some of our customers at the time that company's customers would call in to ask, can we see your ESG policy?
Yeah.
Because we want to decide where to take an office with you or with other companies if we can see your ESG policy. What? It was so political. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It is.
You got to be retarded. Yep.
That's all I have to say. It's unfortunate that the uplifting of impoverished or minority access has been usurped by a political agenda.
Yeah.
Something that should have been a meritocracy that was uplifting and identifying specialist experts or people deserving of opportunities to get into great companies and business opportunities. Unfortunately, it's on purpose created a malaise of bullshit
Yep.
that harms everyone involved, no matter what creed or ethnicity they're from, and does absolutely negative effects on the environment. That's what drives me insane. I'm a monster conservationist. It's very easy through a combination of recycling, filtration, and just awareness and lack of destruction, smart real estate building. Don't rob an ecosystem of its bottom producing class and its apex predator class, because everything is kept in balance. And we can coexist with it very easily. There have been plenty of groups of humans over time that have done that. And ESG is such an affront to Mother Nature. It makes me sick. And it's an affront to humanity.
Yeah.
All under the guise of selling it to morons who want their little social
Corporate morons.
Yeah. Oh, I feel good. And
And by the way, we have that in Bitcoin as well. There are some companies that are sucking up to whoever, the investors, by implementing this and talking about this and making a point to continue raising that topic again and again while we're trying to bury it down to the ground where it deserves to be, because it's a complete coercive mechanism scam.
people who run in that lane are traitors to the environment and they're traitors to humanity. Period. End of story. There's no bending of this. And I can't. I'll just get anymore.
No, you keep going. It's okay.
No, because it's not like the.
I mean, I think it needs to be called out because people are so.
I'm not saying don't call
they're
it out.
trying to be just so nice to every.
Which
it's
is
like,
bullshit.
it's not about being nice.
It's bullshit because kindness.
It's going to ruin our lives.
It already. I would argue. Look at what
We started with geoengineering, right? This is it's a symptom of that disease.
Correct. It is a symptom of that disease because let's create, imagine your company is generals, your specialists, your comms, and you know better than I because you did serve in the IDF. Correct me when I'm misspeaking, but I'm getting to your privates to your generals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their comms need to be fluid.
Yep.
And they need to be reactive, and they all need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
The ESG bullshit disrupts all of that. So again, it harkens back to what do they always try to do? Disrupt, destroy, and consolidate. By forcing this out there, small companies, mid-sized companies can't quickly catch up. And then the money comes in only through the globalist entities like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. So we're only going to invest if you're ESG compliant, and your company doesn't get that money. And I'm pretty sure Rumble had to deal with something like that at some point.
Yeah.
Where, it's just another vector of destruction.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious how many people, because I know you want to feel good about doing stuff, but look under the hood. Does that get us clean water, organic food, regenerative farming? Does any of that occur? No. Oh, okay. Do we stop China from polluting in the rivers?
No.
It doesn't get that?
No.
Okay. Are we putting filters on coal plants?
No.
Are we keeping pharmaceuticals out of our waterways?
No. So we're not doing any of that environmentalist stuff.
What are we?
And it's called ESG for environment.
And they come up with these it's a Hegelian dialectic. That's what it is. And you got to hand it to them. They're cunning and they're masterful, but look at how lowbrow that is, right? The geoengineering stuff, the wide body area network stuff, this is some heady science. And you got to understand a lot about quantum physics, particle physics, and you have to understand frequencies. So I get that that's heavy. This is not. This is obvious. So I
simple coercion.
I'm not even paying attention to it because the more light we shine on it,
you're right.
It's just going to go away.
Yeah, I agree. I just had to call it out because I see some people still bending the knee to this bullshit.
It has no place in the human community. It has no place in the Bitcoin community.
I agree. All right, I want to ask you another money question, and then we have to wrap up soon. So I'll try two more. One is related to, let's build a case for why long-term subsidies such as Social Security and, this is something fun for, and, universal basic income.
Are you trying to get me to run for office? Because that's never happening.
You need to be a founding father, not run for office.
You know what the efforts you're doing reminds me of John Paul Jones, the founder of the U.S. Navy, you know what he said? I have not yet begun to fight.
Ooh.
This was towards the end of
love
the Revolutionary War. I've studied that, so I can recite many, many quotes, but go ahead.
We've only just begun, Chris. So let's talk about Social Security, UBI. How do these mechanisms hinder productive behavior? And what are the consequences of that?
Do you want to unpack
And who
what
does it
those
serve?
words mean? And
Yeah,
acronyms
sure.
mean?
Sure. Universal basic income.
That's as retarded as ESG. Forgive me.
I knew it will be fun.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
No, say that. Yeah, go on.
Because I don't.
It is retarded as ESG. I agree.
Obviously, I'm not trying to offend people of injury to their minds or brains. Like, this means people who go along with it can't think or process any realm of logic, right?
Right.
Any iota of logic. So that's who I'm referring to. Universal basic income. Yeah, you're laughing because when you unpack it, it's absolute insanity.
Universal globalist. Basic is like
You're impoverished.
basic needs.
Income, we hand it to you.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, what's the difference between that and welfare?
It's exactly that.
Okay, what's the difference between exactly that and Social Security?
Nothing.
So wait a minute. What you're telling me is we're going to siphon off money away from productive taxpayers and hand it to people, or are we just printing it and handing it to people? Oh, we're going to do both.
Yeah.
Wait, so the taxpayers can't finance what it's so mind-boggling.
But on a mental, spiritual level, people have to understand this is just another silly, stupid, retarded trap, and you shouldn't fall for it because you need to think about life in terms of value and productivity.
Yeah.
And what kind of value and productivity do you create? And this is going to be just another psyop for you to fall into.
And
it is already. But
it is already.
It's going to be even worse with AI and robotics coming in.
Instead of just shitting all over it, let me propose a solution.
Please.
So I've thought about this a lot. I've told this, one in a political meeting in Washington, one just around with my partners, and then I have told you a component of this. So my idea to fix, let's just look at Social Security. What's the genesis of Social Security? The Great Depression.
Yep.
Well, the central bankers caused the Great Depression. So, but go forward, it was a decade long. Hey, we don't want anybody to go hungry. We don't want anybody to be cold. We should provide shelter. We don't want old people just dying in the streets like they were, right? So again, problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem. Then there's the reaction, and here's Social Security. We're going to take it out of your fucking paycheck, hold it for you later, and pay it out. Okay. Concept. Okay, you got me. Yeah, I don't want homeless. I don't want any child going hungry. Those are obvious answers to those questions. So they're preying on your innate humanity to destroy you. Mm-hmm. Now, that's the analysis. Let's give the fix. If you assume 25 to 65 is the working age, and you're going to save the FICA FUTA taxes in the United States are 6.8%. Let's just round down and say 5%. Mm-hmm. And you're going to do a forced savings plan of 5% to get the bookend of life. Make sure that 65 to 85, 90 is covered by a forced savings program.
Okay.
All right. If you take 5%, we should have a calc so I get to do math more exact. But let's just assume your base pay over 40 years that you pay in is $500,000. Mm-hmm. And let's then invest that money, because I'm distinguishing from what's actually happened, which we can get into. Let's invest that money, 1/3 the S&P, 1/3 Treasury bonds, and 1/3 Bitcoin. And we can do a back test of the analysis over 40 year, obviously the Bitcoin's not been out long enough. But my point is that you structure an investment plan that's forced savings, that then that person at 65, let's say it does 7%, rule of 72 every 10 years it doubles, right? So it's going to more than quadruple by the time you get to it. Let's round down, say it's 2 million. It just quadruples.
Right.
You can take a income remainder off of that, live a nice life with 80 or 90K off of $2 million where you're not eroding principal.
And leave the rest for your children.
Leave in the same portfolio,
Right.
that perpetuation of compounding, where then your heirs pay into that pool of capital as part of their federalized social safety net. In one generation, you eliminate poverty. In literally one generation, there is no poverty.
This is a pretty good fix.
It is gnarly.
that
You
it's
think
that it's
This
fixable.
dumb redneck from Florida who just whimsically came up with a thing that makes everyone, at least, you know, in the American construct, in one generation, it makes everyone wealthy. Ask yourself, why does that happen? Why are we not?
Can you get to Besant and speak to him about it?
I mean,
You
I would
probably
love to.
could,
I probably could, but
because I think it's a pretty good. Idea.
And they kind of thought about a little of this. I think because I have said it to enough people. Michael Dell donated money to the Trump accounts, which are buying S&P index funds or something like that. And what you get out of it as a American citizen is Treasury gets liquidity for bonds, lowering interest rates, which lowers the taxpayer's exposure to that. Then you're nationalistically going to be aligned with the S&P 500. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. And then you've got the hardest money ever created as part of your portfolio that you're dollar cost averaging in over a 40-year period. Well, that doesn't sound bad either.
No.
You can only win with constructing something like that. So,
And this is one great example of how Bitcoin can help solve some of the world's problems. But I'm sure if we would have, had 10 more hours, we could have extended this way of thinking to many other places where Bitcoin can fix stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's doable.
that was a really nice example of one of the many ways it can.
We need more people like you.
We need more people like you, because this is, I was just trying to give your listeners a solution instead of, oh, look
Yeah.
at all this black.
Right.
ad. Well,
Exactly.
Look, dude, the cool thing about the dynamics of the darkness being so bad and robust, the solutions are really obvious and easy.
Right. So
we're
we
not-
basically need more people to understand that Bitcoin can help many issues. And, if you're on zero, get off zero on Bitcoin and start learning.
It's like a starter course for higher consciousness.
Yeah. It's the entry point.
Wait, the money's messed up? And then you start looking at everything else.
Wait,
It's awesome.
what else is messed up?
And you just, it's funny, like the Illuminati pyramid that's on the back of your dollar, the money's messed up, and then every layer down is messed up too. And I advocate for people obviously getting off zero, because we're in a corrective period when it's oversold and the FUD's high. That's always a great time. It's a great time to buy any asset, but an asset that's now, there's less than 1 million left to mine.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want it to be too late for anybody.
Right. Chris, you're incredible. Where should people follow you, find you, talk
They
to
should
you?
just leave me the f alone. I'm kidding. I'm not on Twitter X.
No, you're on LinkedIn.
I am. That's mostly run by my assistant, and I'm occasionally on there. Our website.
So every time I speak to you on LinkedIn, it's not you.
Sometimes she hands me no, she won't respond. Maybe she has. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But that's at like working hours on a desktop.
Okay.
When I'm responding, it's usually on my phone.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to achieve any sort of annoyance to people by making them see my thoughts like live. So I'm doing this mainly for you and your audience to try and give a perspective of someone they wouldn't normally get to talk to or see.
That's right. And Chris is on zero social media. So just go to the website. It's good. I know. I understand.
Our website is there just as a landing page. If you are interested in investing, it's HyperionDecimus.com. There's an info at thing that'll eventually get through our team to me, and I can discuss how I came to Bitcoin, what I'm doing with our capital, and if our funds make sense with your investment policy and your portfolio.
I'll put a link to it as well.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for sharing yourself so generously with us.
You're welcome.
I love this. It's like we talked about tough stuff, but with a smile. I think we can bring hope to people.
I think maybe we gave people a lot, and then maybe if we speak again, I'll get into more minutia and detail that then lead to solutions. And obviously on the geoengineering side, I've been active even recently, doing everything I can to help. And that's what I'm here to do, is provide some light and relieve some fear, uncertainty, and doubt so that people don't have that low frequency permeate anymore.
Love it. Thank you so much for being who you are.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Please take a minute to give this episode a like, a comment, and subscribe or follow. And please share it with your friends so they can also get value and choose to take some positive action in their lives. Till next time.